Does anyone want to do a little like micro hello or update or anything on this?
No.
Well, should we talk about the mistake that you made in the last Christmas episode,
Oh,
Jen?
yes. So listeners, so I was listening to the podcast this morning and it was our Christmas like catch up, just say hi thing or whatever. And at the end of it, we were talking about Christmas episodes and Bex made a comment about, "Oh, do you think that the show is going to go to New York for Christmas or like in the new season, you know?" Oh, for the Christmas episode, for this year's Christmas
Yeah.
episode. And we were like, "No, no, no, ha ha ha." Like they'll only and I made a joke about they'll only bring for like a cloth backdrop with the Empire State Building on it. No, 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 with the Eiffel Tower on it. Is what I said, and in my brain I meant Empire State Building.
Right, but at the time I remember thinking, I'm English, she's American. There must have been like an art installation or something in those days that she knew about, that the Eiffel Tower was there. So I thought, I'm not going to say anything to look stupid because she'll know better. So not only did I not say anything in the actual record, I didn't say anything in the edit. I just left it in because I thought, well, she obviously knows what she's talking about. She's American.
Right. No one should ever assume that. My brain has been so fried over the last like month that I thought one thing and then I said a totally different thing, which really didn't make any sense. But what I meant to say was Empire State Building, not Eiffel Tower, because as everyone famously knows, the Empire State Building is a huge landmark in New York City and was erected in time for Matthew Aylward to see it in 1960s. But the Eiffel Tower obviously is famously in France. So
Well, I was chatting to somebody this week at work and just making small talk, and they were talking about their plans later in the week. And I was like, well, hope you had a lovely time yesterday. And I was like, no, they're talking about their future plans, not their past plans.
I saw my physio the other day and I was like, oh, I hope you have a really good Christmas. And his baby's due very early in January. And I was like, oh, and it's going to be a great 2017. What? And I think it's because I had my baby in 2017. That's where it took me. First episode of Recall the Midwife tonight, if you want a bit of BTS behind the scenes.
Whoa.
The actual new series, it's on in silence behind. I'm not actually watching it, but I kind of am, just to see who's in it and stuff. Yeah.
Well, listeners, by the time you're listening to this, it's February, but for us, it's the beginning of the 5-year-long month known as January, every single year. That is interminably long. Sorry,
Also, I must confess, I watched the Christmas special today because I didn't get a chance to watch it on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. And
what do you think?
Well, I watched it twice because I loved it.
Okay, well, don't say anything because I haven't seen it yet.
What is it? You're on the Flaming Call the Midwife podcast, you two. Where's your commitment? I'm there live tweeting on the day from our account. So do you remember there was that mum who gave birth on her knees in the gravel and she didn't want to give birth at home at Christmas with...
Wait, was she outside the phone box?
Yes.
Yeah.
She was in...
Wait, what?
She was literally just a mother giving birth. She wasn't a main character.
Well, she was, because she had a massive blood blister on her vagina.
Wait. Wait a minute. Are you talking about Wicked or are you talking about Called Midwife?
Both.
No, that didn't happen in Wicked, Jen.
Oh my God. Are you in love with Jonathan Bailey? I just absolutely swooned over him in that movie. In
Again,
Wicked,
I'm not being funny, Jen, but who's the one who's sounding thirsty yet again?
By the way, it's really sad, and before we get to the very serious and very sad story, when they cut to Cyril and he was looking very forlorn but had his arms crossed and he was just like watching, he did look very good. And I just feel like it's important for me to say that.
Right, can I just say, listeners, Jen's complained before that she sounds really thirsty on this podcast. It's like, oh God, why do I always sound like this? You open with stuff like that. That's
I know.
The other thing is, I always think this in scenes. The baby was in the drawer and he kind of did this weird creep walk into it. I thought, oh my God, he's going to go and kill it. Like, I don't know why I always think this.
You always think the baby is going to get thrown.
Yeah. Talking about age gaps in babies. So my daughter's now 7 and all her friends are turning 8. Like, literally, there's like 3 people pregnant in our class who were all having a baby.
No, 3 moms in the class, not 3 people in her class.
Yes, not 3 7-year-olds, their parents. And that would be a scandal.
I was chatting to someone at work who's got 3 children, 2 older children. So between the middle child and the youngest child, there's like a 10-year age gap. So I was just chatting. I was like, I won't use his name. But I was like, so so-and-so was a mistake, basically, wasn't he? He was an accident. And he was
You said that to the dad?
Yeah. And he's like, no, he was planned. And I was like, oh, right. Now, I didn't know if you wanted to tell your typewriter story from Christmas, Alex.
Oh God, at Christmas, Father Christmas bought a typewriter, right? But it was from like this cheap Chinese site, Father Christmas told me. And I'm just saying this because, little ears. And anyway, it wasn't a typewriter, a real working typewriter. It was a Lego typewriter that works. It took about 5 hours to make. It was a nightmare with like the worst instructions, not like a good Lego one. She also got a Lego Wednesday that was amazing. It took like 2.5 hours to make. It was so much easier. It was so much better.
Wait, so it does actually type?
No, you can move the keys like it types and it pretends
but it won't
but it doesn't actually have ink or anything. Yeah.
Was the request for a real working typewriter?
Yeah. Well, not a request. It was a request ages ago, and kind of just Father Christmas kept it on the back burner and thought that'd be nice. But it's really hard to find a typewriter nowadays, guys.
I know, because I messaged Alex. I was like, she's my spirit animal. I really want a typewriter.
Yeah.
What would I do with a typewriter?
Exactly. What would she do? Do you know what I mean?
What would you do? I mean, she's got more reason than me. She can type stories and things.
You technically could type stories and things.
I think you have more reason to have a typewriter than the 7-year-old child, Becky.
Well, I was chatting to somebody at work and I was saying that I really want a typewriter. And she was like, my mum's getting rid of a typewriter. And she said she'd advertised it and this person was coming to collect it and they'd never arrived to collect it. And she said this was about a year ago. He's never collected it. It's in the shed. You can have it. I was like,
have you got it?
He's not collected. No, because he's not collected it for a year. She says that to me. The following week, she was like, oh, you turned up at the weekend. What are the odds?
You're joking.
A year later. They don't have to honor that. They don't have to honor
Go
that.
into his house and take the bloody typewriter. It's not his. Typewriter is yours.
Oh, what about the Savoy?
Yeah, something of that ilk.
That's where my granddad used to work.
Mm-hmm.
He did not used to work like Michael. That I know of.
Well, listen.
I mean, I could ask my mum, but I think she'd be very offended and tell me off. Can I just say something really quick? Years ago, I'm not going to mention any names, but we had a big argument. I wasn't in this argument, but Becky had a friend argument. People had been drinking a bit much. And Becky and our other friend had a really big argument about Colleen Rooney on a train. Do you remember, Bex? And you were like, literally like really dramatic, like I'd die for it. This is what I feel a bit like you've gone
die for it. I've similarly defended Katie Price to the
Price
hill.
as well. Yeah. And my hero is Cyril for the beautiful, beautiful proposal to Lucille.
Oh my gosh,
it was gorgeous. Yeah,
I mean,
she wishes
Cyril proposing to somebody else is never going to be Jen's.
It was just a practice for when he proposed.
I don't know if he's married in real life, Jen, so that hope's still there.
I want Cyril. I don't want a real person. I want this imaginary
Oh, right, that's
man.
all right then.
Yeah. That's the problem I've come to realize is that I end up fixating on these fictional men, and real men don't often stand up to that standard, which is a problem. That's a me problem.
Tell you what's convenient though, guys, that the student midwives were learning about PKU. Exactly as this was a coincidence. And just because Sheila had been talking about it that day, Patrick was there scratching his head at the dinner table. He was like, oh, I don't know what to think. What could it be? And Sheila's like, you know what? The student midwives have been learning. That's a terrible accent. About PKU. I'm not going to carry it on.
It sounds like
and he was like, PKU. Aha, of course. So then he goes.
And then he takes all the credit.
Yeah, well, of course.
I mean, he did that last week. He's been doing that lately.
Can I say something at this point? Now, last week I did defend Nancy a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again this week because they were sat. Sheila asked Nancy to talk about the PKU test, and pupil midwife Hopkiss interrupted and answered Nancy's question.
Getting her own bloody back for last week.
And everyone just let it fly.
Yeah, but again, getting her own back for last week.
Well, I've got more to say about Nancy, but we'll come on to that.
Nancy has actually a much bigger storyline than even that.
Are you getting a Nancy tattoo, Beth?
I think Nancy's going to be her version of Barbara for you, Al.
Oh, really?
That's where it looks like it's going. That's where it looks like it's going.
I don't know why I'm defending her so much.
I don't.
You love Nancy.
I mean, I'd gladly get a Barbara tattoo if I like tattoos. I genuinely would. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to get a Barbara tattoo, everyone. They were talking about Oliver Twist as well. Just want to say that.
The irony that they called the baby Oliver.
I know.
Give a child up for adoption and call him Oliver. Although my aunt is called Louise.
Oh, were you named after her?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, now you have to find out.
Yeah, you do. Why have you never asked that?
I don't know. Actually, I've got my first name was my mum's middle name.
What?
Your first name is your mom's middle name?
Yeah, maybe I'm named after both of them.
Oh,
Or they just didn't know any more names.
Lazy.
I
They
have a
just
friend-
looked at their immediate relatives and right, let's just replicate.
Can we talk about really quickly? So the first thing that happened in the whole of the show was Sheila smoking, looking really nervous.
Yes.
And May and Angela and Teddy nervously on the stairs. Dr. Turner there waiting. Timothy at the table waiting. And they were waiting for his A-level results. And it was, very exciting.
I know.
And then it drops on the mat. They're like, Teddy, fetch the post to Timothy. I was like, you're not getting yourself. 0 is going to be pupil midwife hop kiss for interrupting Nancy.
Oh, you're not bad. We're going to be going into schools, speaking to our grandchildren, being like, yes, during COVID, it was a weird time.
I know.
We got a letter from the government and I kept that because I was like, you know, when we were at school and we learned about World War II and our grandparents like produced stuff from, I was like, that's what I'll be doing. I
got my grandma in because she was an evacuee.
When you lived the past for the first time, Bex, and then you learned so much and then you traveled into the future and then you were like, okay, I'm now going to take all this knowledge with me.
Dave.
She was like, there's an emergency at Tavistock House, the BBA, which I heard as BBL, which is terrible, the Brazilian butt lift.
Brazilian butt lift. Can you imagine if they were like, girls, district rounds, BBL, on alert?
Yeah, but they must have had that same issue from other people because then they said born before arrival, like she wouldn't know what it was.
I'll never forget when we went to France as a teenager and we went to the buy bread and my dad in a really broad Cumbrian accent went, bonjour.
Bonjour. I mean, God bless Dr. Turner. Like, this is not his fault, but he goes, she like finishes telling the story. She's like really moved. It's really sad. It's really painful and everything. And then Dr. Turner's like, what you've just described is what we call trauma. And I'm like, yeah, dude. Okay, we got it. Like, as if. I mean, it was just one of those moments where I was like, duh? Like, of course it's a trauma, my man. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
yeah, but do you remember when we used to go to clubs and stuff? I always used to have a shower after when we got home.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, I probably passed out.
Yeah, you probably did. So this is a bit inappropriate, but I'm just going to say it now anyway. I've got a cigarette burn story. So when I was 18, just before we came to university, I went to Fuengirola with all my friends from home, who I'm still very best friends with. And 2 of them had a really big fallout because one of them was smoking and everyone was just so drunk. One of them was smoking. Yeah, on the face. It was
that
so
is
bad.
Terrible.
It was so bad, and they had a really bad fallout. And I was so drunk. I just remember we were all so drunk, and then she got a taxi home, so I went home with her because I felt so bad that I didn't want her to go home on her own. You know, just because you all have to look after each other, don't you? And they just literally didn't speak for like the whole holiday, and then one flew home early. It was awful. I'll tell you afterwards who they were.
Yeah,
one flew home early. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I've never been on a trip that bad.
I mean,
although in
I
my
had a
fairness,
brilliant time,
I mean, I probably would have if I were her too.
For our listeners, when one of our friends got married, we went on our own honeymoon, all of us girls together. And we went to Spain and we went on a day trip to Gibraltar. Jen was over with us and Alex texted her dad and told her dad that she was back in the UK.
Oh yeah, like a bit of a joke, like, hey dad, I'm back in the UK, lols. And he was like, oh my God, rang me straight away, like, are you okay? Totally backfired on me.
Also, wait, did you guys clock the and God bless Sheila, like, you know that on those drives home with Dr. Turner, she's like, I love Miss Higgins, and then she like talks about all the things that she like roasted her for that day, and she's like, she's amazing, but Patrick, I'm gonna need a stiff drink when we get home and a cigarette to share, you know? Because again, Miss Higgins was like, Frances came in and she was like, oh, I'm looking for Mrs. Gupta or Mrs. blah 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 or whatever, and she was like, oh no, she wasn't looking for medical records, she was looking for a leaflet from from a class that Sheila had done.
Yeah.
And Sheila was like, oh, I think you'll find it's in the bottom drawer. And Miss Higgins was like, well, actually, it's not in the bottom drawer anymore. I filed it this way because that makes far more sense alphabetically. And she like gives Sheila the side eye, and Sheila's like,
but then she's like also owns her on the fact that, you know, lots of Sikh women are called Kaur, so I put them by their actually given first name as well, so you can find them easier. Like basically schools Sheila, and Sheila's standing there, blood boiling.
I know, Sheila, like, that's when, like, Sheila, if it was, like, 2005, she'd be texting Dr. Turner, like, you better get me out of here!
That's like me texting my husband from work, and I do it about twice a day.
I mean, love Miss Higgins, but when she's
really
so indelicate about, like, just roasting everyone all the time.
Someone in my office was like, oh, it's a sexually transmitted disease, a baby. I was like, that's horrible.
Funny that someone at your office said that. I do know your office is mostly men, so I mean, I know they make definitely more colorful jokes.
Yes. So I don't know if it was a joke, if I'm honest.
Do you think they had this story on the back burner and they were waiting for a baby? Or do you think they cast the baby? Because I've heard a thing where they were saying about how, because they need really little babies, that they'll literally, like, the casting people will literally stop pregnant women in the street and be like, oh, you've had that baby, do you want to...